Welcome back to It's Only Money with financial advisor Scott Brown. His left-hand man, Tammy, is here as well. And when we last left off, we were still crunching those numbers.
Yeah, we got some. Tammy, there's some good news, right?
Of course. There's always good
Give me
news.
something good.
Well, we're looking at increased consumer spending. And we are looking at, we mentioned the unemployment rate, and I keep saying that because it is a major indicator of a recession, whether it's going to happen or not. Also, the consumer spending, as we said, and wages, very important.
Yeah, wages are up, so there's wage inflation. So inflation is a thing. In this case, it's maybe a good thing for wage earners, yes?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the argument would be people who want to have the glass half empty, I suppose. It's the way, well, wages are up 10%, 12%, whatever the number is, but inflation's 8%, so they're stealing most of it back. And I get that. That's not an unfair thing to say, but the good news is wages are going up, and I do think inflation is going to peel back a little bit. We're already seeing a little bit of a drop in housing, and that's the Fed's ambition, right? They want to slow down the economy.
That's normal, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, that's starting to take effect. We see it in home prices a little bit. What you'll see is mortgage rates coming up will reduce the amount of home purchases, and that'll trickle through the economy. So those are our numbers for the day.
Yeah, indeed they are.
Question. Would this make this one of the worst times to buy a house, though, that the fact that mortgage rates are going up and then house prices not going down?
Yeah, I mean, is it the worst time? I mean, there's no way for me to know if it's the worst time. We could say, all right, rationally, we know house prices are high. They've grown quite a bit, especially in Florida recently. And a lot of people are moving to Florida. So we might be a little bit immune to that downturn. The issue would be in terms of affordability, right? We go back to what I think we talked about last week, which is the payment. People don't get too caught up in the price as long as they can afford the payment. And when rates go up, I literally talked to a young couple last week who said they were looking at buying a house and their payment went from 3 months ago, it was going to be $1,500-$1,600, and I don't remember the amount they were borrowing, from $1,500 to $1,600 to $2,300. And, that's a big jump for a young couple. I mean, that's a 40-50% increase or more of their monthly cost. So that would tend to lend itself to lower housing prices over time because that just took that couple out of the equation, right? So there's probably, for every 10 buyers that were out there before, there might only be 7 that are willing to participate at this current level in terms of payments. So is it a good time? As I'm fond of saying, it's a good time when you have the money, right? If we could get all caught up, is this the best time? Is this the best time to buy a house? Who knows? But in 30 years, it won't matter, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the same mentality I guess you were just talking about last segment, was if you're waiting for the dip and you're going to miss out no matter what.
Yeah, people will say, and I use Microsoft, Apple, whatever the stock is, and Ford. People will say, I say, well, you liked it at Ford at $20 and now it's 14. Yeah, but it might go to 6. Yeah, but it might go to 20 again, right? So is it the best time? Don't know. Is it a better time? Absolutely. So these are the kind of people as the saying goes, perfect is the enemy of good. People want to make perfect decisions. Well, if it goes from 650 to 649, then I'll buy it, right? Come on. Really? That's just an excuse to not make a decision. And people are really bad sometimes at making decisions because they want the decision to be A, without risk, and B, to be perfect. That's never going to be the case.
All right. Not perfect, just like my number song, which is why there's not a number song outro for that, which I think the world's really missing out on that.
I'm looking forward to the actual recording of the number song.
I got a band that's willing to do it.
Yeah. I'm in.
Sweet.
All right.
So you give me a list of rundown of like various things you want to talk about, and we talked about the recession versus depression. But millionaires.
Yep.
Millionaires, do they worry about money?
If they didn't worry about money, they wouldn't have much, right?
You guys laughed at like that was the dumbest question in the world, because my Dodo cartoon Scrooge McDuck version of a millionaire never worries about money. They get the million and then they're good and they're solid and they never have to work or do anything again if they don't want to.
And they're swimming around in gold coins.
Yes, spitting it out their duck mouths.
Yes, I remember that cartoon.
I remember those days.
Yeah, so of course they do. Of course they worry about money. More money, more problems, right? I think that was a song 20 years ago.
Very hip, Scott.
Very hip. Yeah, I just played my old man card right there. That's embarrassing. But yeah, the fact of the matter is they do worry about it. Do they worry about it in the same way? They do not. And people, a lot of times people say something like, the market's down 10%, and they'll say, Scott, I'm not like your people with $10 million. I only have $100,000. So 10% to your, 10%'s $1 million to them. It's 10 grand to you. It's still 10%, right? So no matter how much money you have, I find anyway with people, it's context. If a guy or a gal who's worth $10 million loses $1 million, they don't feel any better than you do by losing 10 grand on your 100 grand, right? So of course they worry about money. What they don't do is they don't micromanage the situation. The reason they're millionaires is because typically of how they've reacted in the past, right? If something bad, if a recession, which we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes, were to occur, people who aren't millionaires, and I say this as a generality. Thank you, that word. People who are not millionaires are going to react poorly on average, which lends itself to never being a millionaire. Millionaires are going to say just what we talked about, right? They're going to say, well, I had $1 million and now I have 900,000, but some of that's cash. And now that the market's down 10%, I'm going to buy some more stocks. So when it comes back up, I won't have $1 million. I'll have $2 million. So that's the difference. The people who have accumulated wealth have accumulated it largely, not always, but largely because of that mentality. They're saying to themselves, where is the opportunity? Whereas the person who typically is not a millionaire is saying, where should I hide?
Is it part of a risk management thing, you would think?
Well, again, they view risk differently.
Yeah.
Some people view risk as an absolute. Risk means death. Right? Something happens, something bad happens, I'm going to hide and cower so no more bad stuff happens. And people of wealth are going to see it as opportunity because, don't let a good catastrophe go to waste, as somebody once famously said. And that is the way people who are worth millions, or at least self-made people, are going to view the opportunity.
That's one of the knocks that I see all the time, where it's you see all your billionaires are not actually self-made. Like Bill Gates, his mom was on the board of IBM. Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos got a $100,000 loan. Elon Musk's family was this. But my logic on that was like, oh yeah, he might have got a $100,000 loan, but there's plenty of people with $100,000 that have turned that into $50,000.
100%. How many other people's parents are on the IBM board?
Exactly.
That didn't become Bill Gates.
Yes.
Right. Same with Jay. I could walk out into the parking lot right now. I'd be very popular if I did this and hand everybody $100,000. Right. I would say within 3 months, if I gave it to 20 people, 18 of them wouldn't have any money left at the end of that period. 2 of them might have done something. One of them might have saved it, and one of them might have turned that $100,000 into $200,000 or $300,000 over time. Right? There's I don't remember who said this originally, but there's an understanding out there that if I divided up all the money in the world and I gave it evenly to every single person, and let's say that number was $10,000, and every person in the world got $10,000, in 5 years the same people would have the money again at the end. Right? That's because of the way people think about money. It's consumerism, it's spending, it's taking unnecessary risk, crypto, gold, whatever it is. Those are the facts. It may not be good. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's good for society. I can't comment on that because I don't know the answer to that. But the reality is, again, if I divide up all the money in the world amongst all of the people that live in the world, in 4 or 5 years, the same rich people are going to end up with the money again. Because there's just something they inherently understand about money that others don't. And then the other thing is misconceptions about millionaires. There are some things that millionaires have in common. First of all, less than 20% of millionaires make over $1 million per year, right? It's not like they make $2, $5, $10 million a year, and that's how they got $1 million. Most millionaires are high earners, but not crazy high earners. They might make $100,000 or $150,000 or $200,000, and some of them make $50,000, right? So not everybody who has $1 million makes $1 million. They're just better with the money that they have, and so it's good to understand that. I think there's a lot of things about millionaires people don't understand. Most millionaires have never spent more than $40 on a haircut. Most millionaires have never spent more than a few $1,000s on an engagement ring. Most millionaires have never spent over $1,000 on a watch. Most millionaires drive a Ford F-150. It's not, and most millionaires live in old established neighborhoods. They live in 50-year-old neighborhoods. They live in Domerick Estates or Old Winter Park or College Park, right? Most millionaires don't live in Isleworth. Some do, to be sure. Athletes, people who have come into money, people with high incomes tend to live in places like Isleworth. But self-made millionaires live in old established neighborhoods. 92% of millionaires are married and have been married to the same spouse for 30 years. There's some consistencies you see with millionaires that you don't see in the general public.
Well, if you want to be made rich, Scott has a book. He says he can't do that, but he does have good financial advice. And if you want that, go to Edgewater Family Wealth. They have an amazing, actually, blog section on that website. Tammy has a section on there. Content Scott has made before is on there as well. So go to edgewaterfamilywealth.com, and we will be right back with more It's Only Money.